that was made national by specifically Honorable Yage Koluba and Henry Costa, implicating our character, demeaning our character across this nation. And we have called a group of journalists to make some necessary clarity that those allegations, that we are not part of those allegations, as you may know, we went through the DDR process, and that process came to a close. And this is a government that tried to exchange with all as to get to the bottom of most of these problems that is encountered or ongoing by the ex-combatant public. We want these people to refrain from those statements, which is in line with causing chaos and derailing the peace of our country. We also want to call on citizens that are in the vanguard of jeopardizing the peace that our children are involved or enjoying today, that our nation are enjoying. We want to tell them to stop. If you have any political intention, transform your intention politically, go across the country, present programs to our people so that you can be able to raise the necessary vote to vote George Weah or President Weah or for the next election. But putting groupings together under the canopy of political reason or American let a man, we are against that, and we want to tell everybody to stop. We need peaceful coexistence for the growth of our development. We don't need divisive politics and disunity. So this is why we have called you people here. We are against anybody that is in line with derailing the peace, and they will have everybody to contend with the try that.
General Furidia, chairman of the former general, former chief of staff, Lord. I only get short word for Yaka Koluba. My general finished speaking. We gave Yaka Koluba 72 hours to report to our office.
That's good. That's good.
So can address it to the president. But Yaka now installed the president 24-hour running plan. So we gave 72 hours to report to my office now. The 72 hours start from now. We now report. We report by 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We were speaking on series of issues regarding to actually threat to the nation. You know, we got people in the house. Yaka Koluba was another politician who were threatening the states. And as a former general who have been protecting the states and been seeing that the peace in this country all together and the government in place to protect that government and our people, our public, we will not allow people to threaten the peace in the country. We are advising, we are warning Yaka Koluba, who is Zogo, calling himself Zogi, we warning him to stop continuing insulting president and the nation. And he should stop, because we are warning him. You always say in general, but the chairman of the generals has given instruction on the matter of 72 hours for him to report himself. You know what I mean? So we are waiting for the ultimatum of Yaka Koluba, further to report himself to the public. Then he will be questioned by the first general. This is what we're deliberating on today.
What do you mean by he will be questioned?
Well, we'll question him because he, according to him, is a lawmaker. A lawmaker will not expect.
Is he not a lawmaker?
According to him, because a lawmaker can't speak the kind of way he speaks. He can't be stupid statement as a lawmaker. He can't be insulting president as a lawmaker. He's a lawmaker. He's a lawmaker. He can't make a stupid statement. He can't make a stupid statement. You understanding? A lawmaker has to be a responsible man.
What was the exact threat that he used?
My brother, you in the country. I didn't know because Raga said I don't know the threat.
What did he say?
Oh, you always want to radio threat in the states. How the president must move the president from power in 3 days, in 3 months' time. You know that. It's a threat to the nation. A wrong. Are
you the requisite authority? Have you the constitutional authority to bring this man to book?
My brain said, listen, if you threaten the peace of the nation, you're not threatening me. You're threatening me. So I have the right to talk about it. Of course, we have ex-general. We have the right to speak on this. We warn him, and we are warning him now. For all the detractor politicians behind him, that you stop. Thank you. May God bless you.
How many generals are we talking about?
We are talking about almost 50 generals.
Major General Daniel K. Bracewell, former first battalion commander of the armed forces of Liberia. I want to be blunt. I'm urging politicians, I'm admonishing politicians, and for short, I'm begging politicians. We have children in this country. For my age right now, for my children to get involved or hearing that the father is involved in the clandestine activities, well, I don't think it's perfect. But the fact that we know that this country went through war, we former general, we fought war, we studied war, we know war, we made war. So if anyone thinks that they're coming in to derail the peace process, they will have us to contend with, or him to the white cost sufficient.
I'm Major General Kofi Duo from the LGRD. We called the president today to inform the people concerning constant behavior of Yeke Koluba, trying to stir up confusion in the city or in the country. We want to appeal to him or appeal to other politicians that want to use him or use that means to derail this peace process, that we are not in line with them. And the Liberian people will not be happy that the 14-year peace we are enjoying today should be destabilized by them. Our support is with any constituted government. Manasaliv used to call us every year, every holiday, and give us a token. So if Ambassador we are called her and give her any token, I don't think it's a crime. But Yeke Koluba want to use that means to start insulting us, insulting the president, sitting president. That is not going down well with the ex-general. We want to appeal to him. We also want to appeal to the Liberian people to please urge Yeke Koluba to desist. And if he calls himself general, we will soon call him to report as a general. Or failure on a part, we will get to him and bring him to our commander. Thank you very much.
My name is Liberia-Until, Chief of Staff of the former model. And I want to buttress to what my fellow friends have said. We have gone a long way in this country. A days of peace that we enjoying from the 14-year problem we ourselves called by two politicians. And we don't want to sit here again and be used by those same politicians. We're calling on our brother, whosoever, more especially our Yeke Koluba and Costa. If they have any other motive, let them have us stay away from that and let them go where they want to go and do what they want to do. I see they ain't shot. It was so frustrating when we heard that Costa and Yeke said the Minister of State sent for ex-general at his residence and then gave them rest and money. Which of course they went there to all kinds of death squad to start going after people. Why are we going to go after people at this time? The peace that we all agree upon to be restored today that we enjoy. And most of us today life have been transformed. We got our children going to schools. Some of us don't even have one kid abroad. Everything of our life is Liberia. Why would we want to destroy it today? So we want to say to Koluba and Costa, let them not involve us in their political games. We got no intent of involving ourselves into any dirty deeds in the country. It is our right to support any legitimate government. The same we did for Balasari yesterday for the past 12 years, we can do the same today for President George. And whosoever will be president, whosoever will be president after President George Weah, it is our bound today to support that person. I want to send this as a signal to them. No one this time will be used. People refer to people as ex-combatants, ex-general criminals, and all sorts of names. But these are the same people they still want to use to cause chaos in the country. And we call upon our brothers and sisters who are sitting under my voice not to even take them serious. If they have that political motive, let it be done professionally. Let them go through the democratic process and then become someone who they want to be, whether president or whosoever. But not to use anybody in the country no more. There will be no room for violence in the country again through either ex-combatant or ex-general or whosoever.
I'm pleased to have as my guest the Honorable former Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. Vic, how you doing?
I'm great.
Once a Vice President is always a Vice President.
Sure.
I know. Okay, first let's hear from you. Since you left the Vice Presidency, what have you been doing with your private life?
I'm a farmer. I have my farm, and beside that I have a foundation that's been helping to give relief, to seek support, in providing medical facilities, and working with schools and organizations. I've been quite busy.
Been quite busy. Now, are you still in contact with your former boss, the former President of the Republic of Liberia?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Please go close to the microphone.
Yes, sure. I'd talk with her.
And how's the relationship like?
From my end, I consider it good because, I mean, we never had a bad relationship, and I speak to her, I visited her, and so there's nothing bad between us as far as I know.
But from her end, because when you say from my end, it means that probably there's something.
Well, because when you talk about a relationship, it's two ways. I talk to her, I visit her, and I know when we meet, we speak frankly, so I don't think I have any qualms with that.
Is a visitation, is it frequent?
Well, it's not regular, it's not frequent because we are all busy. She is in and out of the country, and at this time in our country, everybody's busy, and because of the COVID, people don't go around very much. Okay. But we keep in contact as and when we can.
Are you following the case involving Brani Samokai? Yes, I can remember you really talking to Lofa Kane over Cool Bangalo. And unfortunately, he's now being brought in civil legal uncertainty. Are you following that?
Of course. On a daily basis, yes, I do.
So what's your feelings about that? Somebody whose hands, in fact, you lifted and you expected that person today would have won. Unfortunately, he's still, involved in, that legal hurdles.
I wasn't involved in Brano Samuka being knowledgeable that Brahmana Samuka will at some point in time be subjected to what he's been subjected to. We went with Brahmana Samuka believing that he was the best candidate and he would have won.
The best candidate.
And of course, we consulted the legal people, and they assured us that there was nothing wrong with his participation in the process. And he won. So we did what we were supposed to have done. Now, whatever comes after that are things that maybe he probably will answer for himself, and then we follow the process.
If you were to advise him, being a father, elderly man, a statesman, if you were to advise him with this sort of legal...
And he said, "Comrade, let's go to Liberia." I could have gone. I could have gotten a lot of money that I wanted to come and sit down here. But sometimes these opportunities should not trade your value, your love for your country. And that's who I am. Maybe y'all will not see today what I'm fighting for. Maybe when I'm dead and gone. You know, normally when musical stars are getting boring to the people, when they die, their star go up. In the case of DMX, Michael Jackson, maybe when something like that happened to Randy, you want to say, oh, Randy was a good guy. Well, before you think about that, I'm here to tell you guys what I believe. All right? So let me just try to invite friends here from my page, and then we'll move on with the show here. All right? So I'm not going to hold you guys for long. If you're down there, just do your part. Try to share the show as well, too. But I just want to provide this suggestion here to Mr. Cummings, and I will be out of here. Because tonight we'll have to come back and go into the video presentation of the show. So let us do what we can do here now. Let me see where I am here. Okay, I see myself right here. I see myself right here. Okay. I see Brother Amos George here. Thank you so much, Brother Amos George, for joining me here. Please share the video if you don't mind. Please share the video if you don't mind here. I'm doing the same thing here. Invite your friends. Put it on your timeline. Those that want to listen, it's up to them to listen. Those that don't want to listen, it's up to them. Each and every one of us, in our own ways, we got our right to do whatever is best for us. And there's nothing wrong with that, folks. There is nothing wrong with that. Yes, there's not. I think I sent out all these things to the people already. Yes, I think I already did. So let me come here. Today's here. Let me come here. And we have become a people who don't care. Once you springboard into another country, problem over. You don't care for the country. But little do we know that the months and the year will catch up all one day. One of these days, you and myself will get old. And whatever we do today, there will be time that we cannot reverse it back. As I see Liberia today, I think everything that you and I went through in our country, we are not ready to properly plan for a better future for our country. Yes, we are not ready. Joseph Boca is living longer for a reason. One of the reasons, he could have been someone who could educate the young generation how to do the right thing. Because Joseph Boca has seen everything. And Joseph Boca could be somebody who will just want to do what he wants to do because he got no long left on earth. And I think the last option is what Joseph Boca is doing today. Think about you living from you 40 years old. Maybe you got about 60 more years left for you. And you're going to be 100 years old. And everything you see today, and when you're 100 years old, and you're telling people the wrong thing, Joseph Boca is not fair. Let me be honest with you. Joseph Boca is not fair. Joseph Boca has served many capacities in our country, and to see how he treated Alexander Cummings, I see no fairness in it. Many times I have come here, many times I have posted things out there describing Alexander Cummings to be a cold cloth setter, to be this. But what Joseph Boca did to Cummings, it again changed the direction of our country. There's no fair play in the game. You can believe all you want, but one day will come, you will sit down and ask yourself, the way the country is going, what role did I play? And why did I play that role? And should I be held accountable for what happened in the country? We went to war. Why do you think we went to war? We went to war because every democratic process, every policy, every regulation we had in our country did not hold water. Everything was leaking. And that's why we went to war. And what did we learn out of the war? We all sat down in Yamoussoukro, in Accra, everywhere you can think about. There were summits from one summit to another. And every country that wanted to see peace in Liberia, they all went to those summits for us. And little by little, we managed to pick up ourselves, and we got into elections. But what Joseph Boca did to Alexander Cummings and the others, You know, I'm not surprised at Ure. There's no reason I should be surprised at Ure behavior. Ure took side with Charles to destroy that country. So as far as me judging Ure, I got no reason to judge Ure. Ure, a level here alone, he wants to see the nasty thing. Ure is just like the United Nations. You know the main purpose of the United Nations? The United Nations is almost like someone who got a funeral home. People that run funeral home, they don't pray for you to live. They pray for you to die so that they can have business. The United Nations most of the time pray that there should be instability in many countries that will keep them running. Ure is a guy who wants to see disturbances so that he can benefit. He don't play things fair because that's who he is. That's exactly who he is. They put an organization to go together, but they started to use other people to start insulting Cummings out there. But Cummings has been in this thing with his heart and soul to make sure that we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over. But Boakai and Ure look in the face of Cummings and say, we're going to do the same thing. You like it or not, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm calling on Cummings today. He not paying me for this suggestion, the recommendation. Nobody is giving me anything for this. But I'm going to tell him what I believe are the right things to do, because I don't just come on Facebook to talk. I am a strategist, and I have in place a package and recommendation for Cummings today. And I will say this to Mr. Cummings. I am looking forward to you parting ways with the CPP, because you have room to redeem yourself. You have room to recalibrate yourself. And here's what you need to do. Like I said yesterday. Yesterday, I provided advice to Cummings. Today, I'm going to make recommendation to Cummings. My recommendation here to Cummings is, number one, to retreat and part ways with the CPP. They don't like you. They don't trust you. They don't respect you. Those are the negative things that you need to consider to part way with them. Now, what do you do to re-engineer yourself? I'm recommending to you, Cummings, that you begin to establish a new strategy framework. And it should be called the Team Cummings. Yes, T-E-A-M, Team Cummings. Team Cummings should look at the geographic of Liberia and begin to put in place Team Cummings by county. Team Cummings in River G, Team Cummings in Maryland, Teams Cummings in Mosquito County, Teams Cummings in Riverset, and spread them all over like a cancer. And begin to feed them with your message. A message that identifies the problem, a message that provides solution, and a message that looks the direction that you want to go. From now to 2023 is enough time for Team Cummings across the county to begin to feed your message to the people. And utilize every means you can. Because the goal here is to get to the second round, if not the first round. When you get to the second round, you will be very, very important to the CDC and whoever is in the second place. I'm telling you now. Failure to do that, Mr. Cummings, I have no other suggestion for you or recommendation. And so if you hear and you are part of the Alexander Cummings team, you need to go back and establish a national Team Cummings satellite stations and begin to feed a message to the people. These guys you see on Facebook today, they don't belong to any county in Liberia as far as I'm concerned. They find pleasure sitting down on Facebook like you and myself. I'm sitting down in the comfort of my office here right now. Do I care about what happened in the counties that people live in? No. I don't care for what happened in the county. I got data here. I can sit down here and watch all the drama on Facebook. At the end of the day, I'm going to shut my phone off and walk through that door, see my children having fun, do what I want to do, get on the phone call and wait for another day for another broadcast for me to entertain myself. That's not what I'm here on Facebook for. Because I know that one day will come, just how we today are judging the Tubman era. We judging the Joseph Jenkins Robert era. We judging all the past government era. There will come a time that our children, our grandchildren, will start to investigate and see what we did in our time that got Liberia to where Liberia is today. And that is something that is very, very concerning to me. And I believe that I must do my part. I must do my part. And doing my part is not going to be an easy ride. There are times that I will look at Joe, we are in the face and tell him not doing the right thing. There are times that I will look at Booker in the face and tell him that he's not doing the right thing. And there are times that I look at Cummings and tell Cummings that he's not doing the right thing. Why? Because they are all leaders of our country at this moment. And whatever they do is going to affect the general decision of our generation, that when the future generation decide to look at what we did and how we supported or they didn't support it, we all will be blamed because of our present at this moment. If you don't understand that, I do understand that. I'm trying to wash my hands from things that will happen in the future when the young generation try to judge us. Joseph Boyka got no interest in our country. Let me tell you why and how. The why is Joseph Boyka is old enough. He's very, very old. Joseph Boyka can cause any damage today. He doesn't have long left to live. He can destroy that country today, and in years to come, he will be dead and gone. And some of the things will be irreversible. Our democracy is in the contemporary politics of Liberia, and it is time for us to put in the foundations. And the foundation means we should learn to do the right things in the right way for the right reason. Those of you who support Joseph Boyka today, are you supporting Joseph Boyka to defend the future of your country? Or are you supporting Joseph Boyka to defend your pocket and your personal interests? If the answer is yes, let me ask you this. Will it be fair for Joseph Boyka to just get up and few people say they nominated him when you have a democratic process where the voices of people count? Joseph Boyka was nominated in 2017 to take on George Weah. What process or processes did he pass through to still be the leader, to be representing the Unity Party within the CPP? Do you understand the principle, the full principle of democracy? Do you really understand that? Do you understand that? Do you understand the full principle of democracy? Let me just take a step away from my seat here and give you a card here. I need to show you guys something here. All right? Because for me, when I'm doing this thing, I always like to present visual aid here so that people can see here. Let me see what are the full principles here. I don't want to take my seat until I make sure it is in my hand because it's a deck of cards that I have here. So please bear with me. I'm looking through them. I think you can hear the sound back there. So let me see here. The full principle of democracy. I need to find that for you guys so that I can show it to you guys here quickly here. I think it might be in the other badge here. If not the other badge, it should be in the other badge. I'm confident that it's in the other badge here. So let me look through this quickly here. All right? Because I really want to show this thing to you guys here. I believe in visual aid teaching because that's my style of teaching. And I think that will help you guys to actually understand my point here. I don't mean to be rude, to just walk away from the camera. But I'm just trying to present something to you guys that just came up to my mind quickly here. So let me not waste my time and come right back here. Since, I cannot find it. I could give it to you guys right away. I think it's right here. Yeah, I think it's right here. All right, it should be here. The full principles. If I cannot find it, then I just have to recite it to you guys here quickly here, all right? All right, I can't find it here. All right, it's not here. It's not in my top full presentation package here, but I think I have it here. All right, it's sad I cannot find it right now, so let me not waste your time here because I just want to wrap things up quickly here. Last call. If I cannot find any last call, that's fine. There's so many of them here. All right, okay, so it's not here in the last call. But here's the thing here. There are 4 principal pillars of democracy. One is total representation. Total representation. Like I always tell you guys, within our democracy, we have presidential representation, where we go and vote for president. And we also vote for elected officials. But when it comes to representative election or democracy, we don't have that. Representative democracy is where people within a political party, people within a community, and people within a county they are giving the voices to elect their superintendent, to elect their party leader, to elect their city mayor. We are not reached that far. How you think we should get there? We should be able to get there by people who are in leadership, setting in place or putting in place the proper channel that we should follow to go through. Joseph Boyka, as the standard bearer against Weah in 2017, lost that election, but he still maintained himself as standard bearer. And they put themselves together as a collaborating political party. There's nothing wrong. I want you to understand it. There is nothing wrong to come together as a group of political parties to establish an alliance for a common goal. But when it comes to who will represent, just as they go into the World Cup, all clubs or all country teams will participate in the FIFA process, right? But you must merit your time to get to the World Cup. How do you get to the World Cup? By the FIFA democratic rule, you must play countries. The few days you're President Lone Star and playing the few days. How you think Lone Star can just get up and go to the World Cup or whatever club, game they're playing to get there? Because there is a process that everybody must go through. Take that same idea, apply it to a democratic process. If they have called the 4 political parties to sit at the table and only strategize ways to defeat George Weah, that's fine. But when you start to come out and say, we want to have a representation on the table by political parties, then Boyka should be going through a convention where the people will represent him. Because you know why? That collaborating political party that came together, it should have been the chairman of every political party, because the election is over. All right? The election is over. And when election ends by democratic rules, the standard bearer that were nominated for each political party should be stepping aside and the party chairman comes in. So in the case of the collaboration, it will be the chairman of the Unity Party, the chairman of the ANC, the chairman of the ALP, and the chairman of the Liberty Party will all sit down to the table and begin to strategize. If they decide that they want to have a standard bearer or a designated person who they believe could take down George Weah, then the party chairman will go back to the party and say, this is why we came our way. Here are some of the recommendations here. We are asking now to have a representation that would, in the end, take on George Weah, to take George Weah down. Then each political party, based on their bylaw and constitution, will then now have their own internal democratic total representation where they will vote. Cummings will be in the ANC along with other ANC aspiring to see where they will be elected to be represented at the CPP. Ure will do the same thing. Boyka will do the same thing. Those steps were eliminated by Boyka. And Boyka only came and said, I am being represented. No Ure, Nada, Nombikanga came out to object to any of those things. Only Cummings alone got up and said, I had to go back to my party to see whether I can be represented here. Are you firing me here, ladies and gentlemen? You live in America here. These are things that people do. These are processes that people follow. And those things were not followed in the country over there. And Boyka sat over there and bypassed the entire process. And then you got people who supporting Boyka. Look at the people that are supporting Boyka today and ask yourself, who are these people? Where do they live? What do they do for a living? Why are they supporting Boyka? Ask yourself the fundamental question. Look at Ome Boyka. Does he have 10 years, 20 years to live from now? I'm not God. But with his ailing health, even if he live up to 20 years from now, what can he do that has all he is? He will start to fall short to some of the aging problem that every old age person get. And when he sit there and start to do things illegally, unacceptable to our society, and nobody's seeing anything about that, all because we Liberians have been trained to just follow things and not even challenge those things. So again, I'm calling on Cummings to stay away from the CPP. They are not in his interest. They set him up to be what he is today. He was part of the ANC when another guy started to throw monkey wrench into his participation in the club. Yes. How can you be part of the organization and somebody keep insulting you, creating division? Because that was the plan. How can you be in an organization and somebody from the outside start to create division? You guys are planning for your Armageddon. I feel sorry for the people on the ground. I don't understand what some of us are saying here. Liberians on the ground, you are planning for your Armageddon. Let me tell you guys this. During the war, when the war was launched in 1989, those are all that were on the ground. What we thought, oh, the rebel will just come today, they will go to the mansion, and they will take door, and then we'll go back. But that journey, when that rebel entered that country, some of us still walking away from Liberia. Have we learned our lesson? Have we learned our lesson? Oh, Boka is our man. JMB must go. You ask one JMB supporter, why should JMB be president? The only thing they will give you, JMB must go. Joseph Boka was defeated by George Weah because after all the years that his supporter claimed to have, he could not use one of his experiences to convince the Liberian people. And he has sat down for 2.5 years now, going on 4. And now he coming back with no clear message. And Liberians are sitting there and supporting him. Who are we? When the man with the lawnmower who look at Joe Boka and say he's a dead man walking. And say Joseph Boka said he will compliment everything that Ellen did. And you're sitting down there and allowing somebody like that to play on your mind. To play on your mind. The man who won't tell you, say, Joseph Boka is the dead man walking. We all know flinch. The man who told you that Joseph Boka said he will use everything that Ellen got. And the same man coming to you. Especially you that in America here, in Europe, and coming to you and telling you that the man is the rightful man. But he's not telling you, and you're not even asking, but why Joseph Boka did not go through his party democratic process. Even if the party got that fake and biased rules, what value is Joseph Boka adding to the party? If the people say Joseph Boka was nominated in 2017, and according to the constitution of the party, Joseph Boka will remain, then why do we have a democratic process? That there should be none. It should be a unitary process. There should be no reason for people to have election within the party. Just have a board of people who will just select people. It shouldn't be about election, but selection. Joseph Boka wants to introduce selection into our democracy because he got nothing to lose. What Joseph Boka has done is called selection and not election. And what Cummings is doing. That's why I'm calling on Alexander Cummings. This is a free advice to Mr. Cummings. Disconnect yourself from the CPP. Re-engineer yourself. Think about a strategy called the Team Cummings strategy. Team Cummings strategy should be geographically covering the entire 15 counties. Have a satellite Team Cummings for River G County. Have a satellite Team Cummings for Muswell County. Have a satellite Team Cummings for Grand Cayman County. Have a satellite Team Cummings across the entire country. You got 1 year to go to make sure that that program is saturated among our people across the various county. Your goal should be to get to the second round. And then when you will become a valuable asset. You have been on the ground for a very long time now. You understand the nuts and bolts about what the people want. The only missing part for you, Cummings, is your ability now to begin to strategize. I know some of them will come here to steal my idea because that's what they do for a living. That's what they do for a living. From the CDC government to the opposition to all of them, they steal all my strategy. Because I've been in the game for a very long time. But they will not come back here. All right? It's time in favor of Cummings now. Look at the other guy here. You see Liberians? Let me tell you about the Liberian man, all right? I'm going to take a break a little bit because this guy, I'm going to define who the guy. The guy is just a symptom of some of our fellow Liberians. What did I say from the beginning of the show? You see one of my Liberian men, some of them, I feel sorry for them. And I'm not going to use any phrase here to inclusively bring people in. Did I say I'm in favor of comments here when I started the show? You see, the white man, when he gets somewhere, he will sit down and listen for some time. But the Liberian man, as soon as he gets somewhere, even when he gets 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, while he hear you talking at that moment, he base his question and his mindset on it. That's who the guy is. So that will not waste our time. These are the guys then that allow more God continue to use in this place. And he enjoy using them. Because they don't have connotative reasoning. You know the reason why your child will be given a connotative test in this country? Is because it is very important that they must have that connotative skills to be able to evaluate and understand things. So let's get back to the topic here, all right? So, I am calling on Cummings to disembark himself from the COP. I mean the CPP. Stay away from them. They are one of the most dangerous groups that don't mean well for that country. Look at all of them. The Ure. What character does Ure have in that country? Ure beyond Caribbean where he lives. Who knows Ure on the highway going to Margibi County? Who knows Ure on the highway going to Kakata? Who knows Ure on the highway going to Cape Town? Nobody. He is one of the most selfish person in the world that I have ever seen before. When it comes to carrying on dubious things, he is the master of this game. And I believe in equity, where everybody should have their own share. He wouldn't believe in promoting his family. Who in Europe orbiter that ever run any of his businesses other than his children? Who can come out here today and honestly tell you about the thing that Europe had done? Europe are a maritime. He destroyed maritime throughout. He destroyed maritime through us. Throughout the whole process, he destroyed maritime. During the Eddie administration, he naked a woman who went down there that he accused of doing something that could not be verified. And that's the person that Boca. As far as going to join CDC, it's too early to do that. Because CDC cannot be trusted too. I don't trust CDC. Why it is true that I campaign for CDC, I have learned a great deal of lesson from CDC. I don't trust CDC. President Weah is not a people person. He is selective in doing people things. So I will not allow Cummings to just join CDC now. And that's why I'm asking Cummings to re-strategize himself by establishing the team Cummings across the country. And his goal for doing that is to be able to have a bigger foot in the next round. Because by then, CDC will be coming to him, or the same Unity Party people will want to come to him because they know who he is now in the second round. And now when Cummings can dictate what he wants through some type of agreement that will be legal and binding. But to join now, no. No. Cummings must remain a hero now and not a helper. Because what CPP had done to Cummings, they have reduced him from a hero of his party to now a helper. A helper does not have too many leverage. He can be put anywhere, he can be pushed anywhere. So for Cummings to remain a hero, he needs to stay away from all political party and do exactly what I just said, hoping that he could win the election as well. But if he doesn't win and they go to the second round, it will still make him a valuable access to the party process, the 51 plus. And that when now he can begin to negotiate as the highest bidder. He should make himself to be the swing party. Wherever he goes, he wins. But what we're making to be that person is the ability to have a problem, identify all the problem, to have a what? A solution to the problem and the direction he wants to take the country. If you look at Joseph Boakai, he has been defeated serving 42 years in government. You have been in that country and also damaged the future of that country. Comments, you need to understand that. We are who came as the golden child that we campaign for. We are stock is down today. We are stock is down today. And he must bring it up. And he's not doing so well with that. Because people who support we are only supporting we are with biased feelings. And they are even turning against their own sedition. So you Cummings, you have to redefine yourself looking at the two things I just said here. You have not done anything wrong, Cummings. You still need to go and take a holy bath in the Atlantic Ocean to redeem yourself. You are not corrupt, and I'll give it to you. You are not in the process of joining these guys to do the wrong thing because you just prove it to balk at them. So you still stand a better chance, Cummings. You need somebody who will be very upfront with you like I am doing now. Forget about as if I talk about trying to praise you everything you do. Where you wear Madonna socks and come outside looking funny like that, he say it look good though. You need somebody who will challenge you to tell you the truth. Because if the house don't sell you, the street will not buy you. Politics is about people being vigilant, people being strong and telling you the truth. We tested George Weah, and George Weah is not strong enough to withstand some of the constructive criticism out here. My videos are out there. Mr. Weah did not take one advice from me today. None. Because of the people he got around him. So I'm giving it to you now, Cummings. This is a free advice. Free advice. I am now a strategist on this platform within the Liberian community. I don't sit on Facebook and only talk about the problem. I provide solution and strategy to the problem. That's who I am. That's what I do for a living. I make your life better. It's not about who Cummings is. It's about being Liberia-centric. Ure is not Liberia-centric. Borka is not Liberia-centric. Weah is trying to be Liberia-centric, but he's not Liberia-centric enough. Cummings, you are looking in the direction of importing or introducing Liberia-centricity in the country, and you must stand by it and not be deterred by anything. Because you guys will be the one that the next generation will judge tomorrow. I'm telling you guys. When your school teams are today, the days of Joseph Jiggin Robert or to Samuel Kayondu will no longer be a discussion on the table. It will start from Ellen, Weah, and whoever will come after Weah. That's what will be discussed in the year 2065. Are you guys willing to make that mistake? Will you be in a classroom? Will your situation be in a classroom of young Liberians in the future where they will be discussing the errors that you guys are making today? It's not too late yet. It is not too late for you guys. Whether you're a sedition, you come here, I ain't get for them but you. Because you guys are one of the deceptive people. Some of you guys, from your own president, I don't open up to nobody. I don't open up to nobody. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. And George Weah must be able to accept what I'm telling him today. Look at the number of people that CDC had in the past. But because certain group of people, and Cummings, you need to learn that too. Because if you don't do it, the divide and rule game will exist forever. The divide and rule game will exist in our country, and it will be the elephant versus the grass. And only the grass will suffer. Many of you guys watching me here today, you are not born with silver spoon in your mouth. That means you are part of the grass. Your children were born with silver spoon in their mouth. Borka was born as a grass, but he had transformed himself to be an elephant. Weah were born as a grass, but Weah had transformed himself to be an elephant now and don't care for the common people. Yes, Weah don't care for the common people. If Weah believed that he lived in a swamp in West Point and in Clarendon, when some of us are making statements, Weah will come and listen to us. Look at Samuel 12, for example. We all used to walk in Tottenham Hall down there and go and get beans to eat. But today, they're sitting over there. Let me tell you guys one thing. I lived in the Dual administration. There used to be a guy called G. Alvin Jones, finance minister of Liberia. During the Dual era, those guys that were in government, they used to go from one place to another, open a car trunk, and you will see US dollars with the Dual coins. And nobody thought that day was going to come to an end. But where are they today? They are nowhere. So let them do what they can do today. Every one of you guys who enjoy, illegally and the people are suffering over there, one by one, that money will go away. And there will be few that will be left for the next generation to see, as in the case of Jenkins Scott. Some of you guys in government today and some of you guys are supporting the government. God will keep some of you guys alive. And you will bear the consequences of what you're doing today. You will cry for death, and death will not come your way. You saw that woman giving water to Jenkins Scott? Those are all who knew who Jenkins Scott was during the door time. When we saw that image, we had to clean our eye like this and take a second look. Because you were one of the fearful men during the Doe administration. But that's just he ended. My point here is, all these guys you see passing around here today, oh, they this, they that, they will all wait up one day. Their season will come to an end. And you guys will be saying, yes, that's left. But you know who will be the victim? The incoming generation and the country will be the victim. Because from 1847 to 2021, there have been series of people in the country that have enjoyed. But Mama Liberia has always been the victim. From the natural resources, to war, to chaos, to death. She takes in everything. But we don't make her to shine among other countries. We allow her to just be used by individual, and with that we're supporting it. You think everybody going to listen to me today? No. There are some people that God made in Liberia that will see the wrong and support it. No matter what you do, I can take off all my clothes here and talk to you guys, which will not be a pleasant thing to do, but you're not going to change their mind. Some of them have already made up their mind that this is why they will support. But you can be the change, because tomorrow you might be the one that will be left here to live here for 110 years, and your children will be coming to you and will start pointing at you. You used to live back there. They're the one who messed the country up. And you will cry for death, but death will not come your way. Because it is you that God will destine to be here to feel all the pain. And there will be no way that you turn the hands of the clock back, because you're now living in a time where you can make the change that you want. Parker don't get a damn for Liberia. He didn't get a damn for a single Liberian that is born today. Every older people who have lived a longer life, they have seen the bad things, the good, the bad, the worst, and the ugly. They have seen it. Parker should be the one to be calling for a fair and open democratic process. But here you go. He's sitting down there, and because of his own selfish ego, he taking side with people who destroy the country. Is you somebody for Parker to go and sit next to? Is you somewhere? You who have been sanctioned by the United Nations, the American government, and Parker they're taking side with him to derail our democratic process. And many of you guys sitting down there and watching this thing happening, and not nobody. What if it was we who had done such a thing? What do you think a lot more people will be doing? No, lot more guys, and what do you think they'll be doing? Oh, we are saying you're going to the street people, you're going to represent this. But when it comes to you, there is no Liberia centricity. Being centric and being Liberia centric is to put the core values of things that we all consider to be our national pride. That's what centricity is. So when you hear the African Americans say, I want to be more Afrocentric, I believe in Afrocentricity. The African American are telling you in this country, now, they dress like African, they wear the beads because they are African, and they believe in what we African are neglecting every day. And that's what they mean by Afrocentricity. Take that idea, let us be Liberia-centric. What are the core values that we judge things on? If we have a political party that is operating in the framework of democracy, what are the principles of democracy? Total representation, equality, justice, and equity. Those are the four principal things we have. So when it comes to equality, when it comes to total representation, what Joseph Parker did over there, Is it right to communists? Because there are people in Liberia who are looking up to communists too. Why Joseph Boka, Nombi Kanga? They see Nombi Kanga here. Let me talk about her a little bit here. Charles Walker Bronsky, while he was alive, he challenged Joseph Boka and told us on front page. That transcript is still online. Go and Google it. Charles Bronsky criticized Boka for 9 million. Just type that phrase in. Charles Walker Bronsky of the Liberty Party, may his soul rest in peace, came up with a long piece, a 2-page document, explaining how Joseph Boka maintained a $9 million in his office, even up to the Ebola era. And his party did not support that idea. And Joseph Boka never backed down on that. And Nombi Kanga today sitting over there and praising Joseph Boka. Where is the party value that you stand by? Republicans in America will say we should allow Bible to be preached in the school, in public school. Democrats are saying no. That the two-party philosophy. Which one do you believe in? Whatever Charles Walker Bronsky tried to bring to that party called Liberty, Nombi Kanga dumped everything yesterday. Standing over there and praising Boka. There are times that they must come to a point where they must agree on certain value within the party. The country is ruined. Liberia is being destroyed mainly by the people in the diaspora. Every bad thing that happened to Liberia, the diasporan Liberians who have been engaged are the ones who destroying that country. Look at the other one they call Alari Tokwa. Alari Tokwa is now sitting in Minnesota there, right? But back in the days, they were in Liberia passing around making fool out of our young brothers and sisters who are now parents today. But what happened to Alari Tokwa? The mess he created in Liberia, he don't have the means to go there now. Not because he don't have money to go to Liberia. When I mean means, there is no good health system for his age right now. There is no retirement fund. Guess what he's sitting now? He's sitting now in Minnesota there now. Depending on people who fought for equal justice in the country, everybody of age and in age should benefit. He's now getting benefit from the American government. He's now getting benefit from the state of Minnesota. But this is the men who are in Liberia, convincing people for the wrong reason. But because their intent was only for themselves, they ran away and came here. And do you think that mindset is going to be over? You wait. You will have your own commentary after the news. These guys then who are telling you today, you do this, you do this. You need to ask yourself, where are they living? And where am I living? What guarantee do they have if things go wrong? And what guarantee do I have when things go wrong on the ground here? How many children do I have? How many of them in school right now? And where are their children? Those guys are making the noise behind. Where are their children? I will tell you, my children in America here. My children in America here. Maybe they might not tell you where their children are. I'm telling you, my children in America here. But I'm here telling you the truth. That if anything go down in Liberia, I will not feel it. But what I'm doing here is I'm telling you the truth that those guys are telling you and leading you in the wrong direction. The Ure you see over there, Ure's daughter is in Canada going to school right now. And he knows how to play his card very well. When we were in Liberia in the 90s, when the war started, Tida Ure were in America going to school. When the war subsided, Tida Ure gone back. Today, Ure is back again, making ass out of you guys on the ground. Wherein his other daughter is going to school. Don't you think you or your daughter should be going to school as well? Where are Boka children? Anyone in our country there and make all that noise. Beyond Samuel Kayando in America here. When the war was raging here, did you see Konosio Robert Salif? Did you ever hear any Konosio Robert Salif? No. Robert Salif was in North Carolina sitting down there. All cheering him. But they were using you guys. Aldo was the bad man. And they put your heads together. But when the war ended and Eddie took office, the Konosio Robert Salif you never saw. He came and went straight over Nokao. And now he fucked Nokao up. He's not even living in the country now. He's living in Ghana. Have we learned our lesson? We haven't learned our lesson yet. The fundamental original sin of every country is illiteracy. But every country, including the great United States we have lived and continue to live, they came up with a strategy that the original sin of all countries on the face of the planet is illiteracy. But how do we fight it? The American policymakers got together and they said, one of the ways that we should fight illiteracy is to make sure that every child, before you reach the age of 18, you must be a high school graduate. 12 years of mandatory education will help to reduce the illiteracy in America. Liberia since 1847, they even make original sin the worst. There is no educational policy in our country that will compel your child that he or she not in school, you will be held accountable. You will be held accountable. But some people enjoy the pleasure. That's why today in America, you will not find Obama child going to Europe to go to school. It will be by choice. You will not find Donald Trump grandchildren going to school abroad. It will be by choice. You will not find anybody in America here because the people believe in their country. They believe in their country. But all our political activists, their children in America, even the new ones, they came here and born their children and live in America here. But they're telling you guys, do you think about refugee? I think about refugee all the time. I'm concerned right now about the guy who is 50 years old in refugee that woke up today. I don't even know who is his representative and what hope does he or she has for the next 5 years to come. Do you think about that? Do you have that empathy? Do you really have that empathy? And this is where I believe that communists need to focus. We need a focus group. By the way, speaking about focus group, I'm putting out the invitation to every meaningful Liberian. I'm trying to establish a focus group. It's not going to be a political focus group, but we will be discussing political issues that have the propensity to affect the life of your relative back home. Well, we sit down on Zoom or whatever means, whether it Teams, I don't know whether Teams is utilized in the public domain today. But I would like to use Teams because I love Teams. Well, we can sit on Facebook and begin to discuss this. What is Boka's objective? What has Boka achieved over the year that he can translate today that will make sense to us? What we has done for the year he been there? And how do you know? How has it impacted the life of the people? How can a man who in the diaspora want to convince you when he is living his life and gaining more opportunity of his life, but he telling you to do the wrong thing in Liberia? How can that work? When we have seen past advocates who went and risked their lives, Steve Biko in South Africa, Nelson Mandela in South Africa, those people made the greatest sacrifices in our country. But you got Liberian advocates that sitting abroad, their children going to school, tomorrow is school. They have the choice to be online or they have the choice to be in person. They got Joe Biden coming out and telling them every employer, every school should make sure they protect the kids. But they will get up in the morning, in the afternoon, and come and bullshit on Facebook and tell you. You got a guy who stole $45,000 and sitting down in North Carolina and nothing happened to him. But he's sitting there and thousands of people watching him. Where is our Liberia centricity? Until we define who we want to be as a country and people. What are the core values that nobody should be above, but everybody should be below that? We are going nowhere. We'll only become a country of individual and personal attachment to. That's how we're going to be. I'm a citizen. I stay with the CDC. I don't have no core value that Liberia will be measured me by. I'm a unity party man. I don't have no value. If we don't have any common denominator of how we do things, my friend, you can have all the big shoulders. Some of us been around for a very long time. We saw the Louis Y. We saw the Martin Brown. We saw the RAW. We saw the Quincy T. We saw all the people in Liberia that used to pull crowd. We have seen it before. We've been there and done that. It didn't pay no dividend. It didn't take Liberia 1 inch from the problem we have. So today, in the modern era of technology, you're sitting there on Facebook. The year started a few months ago. This is the 9th month. How many times have you not sat down on Facebook What change have you seen in the country when Boka is coming up and trying to rewrite our democracy by not giving full participation with transparency and equality and total representation? And some of you guys, oh, Boka this. You know one of the reasons why you guys have an advantage? Because you live in other people's countries and you don't feel what the other people on the ground feel. You guys used to be wearing one shoe, one slipper, one brief, one pants, one skirt, one blouse. Today, you got multiple of them today. And you don't think about the days you used to have one thing. You don't think about the days that other people will come right in that same footstep. But how do you prevent it from happening? Once you leapfrog to where you are now, case closed, yada, 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 I don't give a damn, I'm here today. That's the kind of people we want to be. Is that the kind of people we want to be? I am calling on Alexander Cummings. I'm not an ANC person. I, J. Randy, grew up in Liberia, born in Nima County, parent from Lower Grand Judah that is now considered to be refugee. I live in a swamp. I work to earn my education in Liberia.
As a framework to bring together full, strong, and big political parties in the history of our country. Thank you for paying attention to the overview. The next step in this signing ceremony will be a special statement and the signing ceremony itself by the political leaders. And after that, we have transition of the CPP chairmanship by Honorable Bernard Ure of the ALP to Honorable Alexander B. Cummings of the Alternative National Congress. Then we will have acceptance remarks by Honorable Alexander B. Cummings, vote of thanks by Rugi Barry. That makes up the program today. So at this point in time, the most important part of the program is about to begin with special statements from the political leader. And we will take first standard bearer and political leader of the ALP, who is also the chairman of the collaborating political party, Honorable Benani Wilfred Ure. The floor is all yours. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moali. Mr. Alexander Cummings, the political leader of the ANC, Ambassador Joseph Niman Boyka, the political leader of Unity Party, Senator Yumli Kanga Lawrence, the political leader of Liberty Party, chairman of political parties, officials of political parties, distinguished participants in this Zoom call today, Liberians at home and abroad, all well-wishers of the efforts here today. We bring you greetings from the collaborating political parties. Firstly, I would like to augment what Mo Ali has done by not only calling for a moment of silence for Councillor Charles Walter Brunson, but I'd like to add on to it. I want to add on all members of the collaborating parties who over the years have gone to the great beyond. The dreaded angel of death have taken upon them, and they are here no more. We also want to have a moment of silence in memory of all Liberians that this coronavirus has taken on to the great beyond. We ask that we observe a moment of silence in their memory. Thank you. Fellow Liberians, man is born with his hands clenched.
In life, he grasps everything he sees and desires. When he dies, his hands are wide open, leaving all that he has achieved and accomplished. Today, as we are about to sign this document, known as a framework document of political parties, may we all learn from their experiences over the years. I hope we all realize that in unity, there is strength. We must additionally realize that to agree is a positive aspect of every political venture. We must also agree that disagreeing is not a crime. And in democracy, there will always be disagreement. We would like to remind our colleagues of our commitment to Liberia and our commitment to the Liberian people. On the onset of our collaboration, we committed ourselves to serving our people. And it's a good thought that has led us to where we are today. I would like to briefly discuss how the CPP got started and how it all materialized. By Kofi Woods, the role played by Ambassador Joseph Boyka, and the role played by Alexander Cummings. Has been fulfilled. We are extremely pleased. I can remember a little over a year ago when we gathered together at the home of Councillor Bronskin. It was Councillor Bronskin, Attorney Kofi Woods, and I. And I asked Kofi Woods to have joined us because I've known him over the years and I knew what he was capable of. And he went and he got to Councillor Brunson's home approximately an hour before me. And he had extremely good deliberations with Councillor Brunson. Upon going there, we were convinced that we could change the political landscape in Liberia. And we convinced Councillor Brunson of the importance of us getting together and the impact it will have on Liberia. And I must admit, it was at that meeting that I realized how nationalistic and patriotic Councillor Brunson was. And he told me he would do anything to save Liberia and help his people. We commissioned Attorney Kofi Woods to go and meet others. And let's see how we can put this thought into reality. Attorney Kofi Woods spent numerous amount of hours trying to get very difficult minds together. When we approached Alexander Cummings, of course, he was very warm and accepting, and he accepted the whole idea, and it appeared as if this was what he was waiting for. We all got married to this idea. We went to Ambassador Joseph Nima Boyka, and in fact, he lectured us more about what we were thinking than we could tell him. And I can remember clearly him stating, this is the only way forward. We must put Liberia first. These three leaders were committed to what we are accomplishing here today. We sat at the office of Ambassador Boyka, and we appointed people to go and start implementing what we are signing here today. And the process started that day. We're pleased today that we are where we are today. There have been many naysayers, but it's a difficult thing to get 4 people who had different political ambition, who had people backing them that wants power at every cost, to get them together, to agree, and to fight for the Liberian people. Fortunately for me, as chairman, and I must indicate here my thanks and appreciation to Councillor Brunson, because he nominated me to head this body. And I was given a mandate to come up with a framework document. And it has been a difficult task, my people. But with the cooperation of the 4 political leaders during the process, we experienced the demise of Councillor Brunson. That was by far the greatest blow we had in this whole process. Ambassador Joe Boyka, he was always there with his wisdom and his kind advice and his willingness to always answer when he's called upon. Mr. Alexander Cummings was an integral part of everything we did. And I must say here today, in all candor, that Mr. Cummings exhibited some leadership and we had problems. He made himself always available. And he was always willing to accept a change and to move this process forward. This has not been easy. I know my experience with my supporters, so I can imagine what they went through. But I want to use this occasion to remind all of us that we have an obligation to the Liberian people. We must ensure that the will of the Liberian people prevails. And that will supersedes our personal ambition. Because if the will of the Liberian people is not adhered to, we would not have a country to run for the presidency of. The framework document. I want to remind all of us that this document is a living document. Nothing in it is cast in stone. This document, I believe, will move from imperfection to perfection. Once we have agreement among the four of us, we will certainly make the changes or make the corrections to ensure that the aspiration of all political parties are taken into consideration in this document. This document, I want to remind our political leaders that we are the first full political parties. We must be inclusive. We must get all other political parties on board. We must leave individual desires and political gains aside. And we must think about the good of the people. I want to speak on my dream of one party. Fundamentally, I don't believe there's any difference between the ANC, the Liberty Party, the Unity Party, and the ALP. Our only problem is our political ambition. We must lay our political ambition aside and think about the suffering of our people. We must listen to the will of the Liberian people. In conclusion, my special thanks and appreciation goes to the drafting committee. They did a wonderful job. It was tedious. At times they got abusive, but it was not only the writing of the document, but it was the attitude of everybody and the temperament and all of that. The leadership, Councillor Gould and the rest of them, they did an extremely good job. Our hats off to them. And we want to really appreciate what they have done for the people of Liberia. I also want to thank the Liberian people, and I want to admonish them that they must continue to put pressure on us. Even though we might get upset with the naysayers, but their constant attacks on us did help in the whole process. We want them to, going forward, be a little bit more constructive, as doing what we are doing is an extremely difficult task. And it's incumbent upon every Liberian to ensure that this works. I want to thank my family for being overly tolerant of me during this period. It hasn't been easy, but we have achieved something. This framework document is an instrument that we will use to get Liberia to another stage. My special thanks and appreciation about to Kofi Woods, During the most difficult times during this process, I could always call Kofi, and he would advise me as a brother and a friend. And he was always there to go on mission, to try to put up fire, to convince people of what was right. Without him, I doubt we would be here today. My thanks and appreciation goes out to Ellis Cummings. As mentioned previously, it's difficult to find leaders like Mr. Cummings. Why we differ on a lot of things, he always made himself accessible to us. I want to congratulate him and inform him that he will be taking over from me as chairman of the collaborating political party. It's not an easy thing, but he must continue to do what he has done in the past to ensure that this process continues. And to the father of politics among us, our uncle, our doyen. There's so many names we can give him, but and he's none other than we call him VP, we call him Uncle Joe, we call him some of us even go as far as disrespecting him and calling him Joe. But he has truly been the pillar of strength with us. He's kept us united, he kept us together, and his many words of wisdom kept us going. I could not ask for a better team. And I want to, even though the political leader of Liberty Party wasn't there with us at the beginning, but she was certainly a splendid leader. In fact, as early as last night, she showed us leadership. When we had problems on how we proceed today, she called me and she said, Chairman, what is your view on this? What is your view on that? And I did give her my view and said, Chairman, I will get back to you. And she called me a few minutes after that with a solution. Yumli, our little sister, we're proud of you and we want to thank you also for all you've done for this committee. Now, we're going forward. You all have a responsibility to ensure that this document we prepared works. Last night, I had a discussion with Mr. Cummings, and I did mention to him in the Liberian way that now, Mr. Cummings, you will have to put on elephant skin. Because politics in Liberia is a difficult thing. They will abuse you, they will attack you. It might even come from me, but keep that elephant skin strong and let it go and keep our goal ahead of you and know that you have a goal that you must accomplish. I close this brief statement again by appealing to all Liberians. The press, the naysayers, those that congratulated us when we're doing good, those that abused us when we're doing wrong, we want everybody on board. We find ourselves in a precarious situation in our country. And our generation, and I speak to the political leaders, our generation must fix what we have spoiled. If we don't fix it, our generation will go down in history as being one of the worst ever in Liberia. Again, I thank all of you for your cooperation, and we will proceed to sign the document. I will ask my chairman to sign it, and I will be attesting to it. Mr. MC, your documents have been duly signed and attested to.
Thank you to the ALP. You have the unqualified appreciation of the collaborating political parties and the Liberian people. All of our partisans appreciate your hard work and your leadership. Next, we'll go on to Honorable Alexander B. Cummings, political leader of the ANC, for special statement and signing of the document. Cummings, all yours.
Thank you, Mo. Mr. Benani Wilfred Uri, political leader of the All Liberia Party, Senator Yomle Kanga Lawrence, political leader of the Liberty Party, and His Excellency, former Vice President and Ambassador Joseph Numa Bokai, political leader and standard bearer of the Unity Party. All other protocols observed. Let me first acknowledge my colleagues who are in the room here with me today at this signing. The chairman of the Alternative National Congress, Senator Daniel Flomo Natin, the Secretary General of the ANC, Councilor Alosha Stowe, and the Chairman Emeritus of the ANC, Attorney Lafayette Gould. Thank you all for being here with me this morning at this very momentous occasion. Let me start by thanking the technical committee who worked tirelessly to draft this framework document. You know, I said throughout this process that to expect that 4 independent parties that had competed against each other will come together and quickly sing Kumbaya was not realistic. That it would take time, that it would require compromises and trade-offs. And I'm happy to say that we have reached this milestone thanks to the technical committee and thanks to my colleagues, fellow political leaders of the respective parties. I also want to thank Attorney Kofi Woods for the role he played in mediating and in helping us all to find common ground. I thank you, and again, I thank my colleagues for your willingness to focus on our country, on the will of our people to reach to this milestone. Let me remind us, however, that this is just the beginning of this journey, that these are mere words on paper, and it will be all about our actions, it will be about our intent, and it will be about us showing good faith towards each other. We have to always assume good intent. We have to always speak as often as possible to find trade-offs and compromises. Because again, as Ben and I said, this is not about us, but about our country and about the Liberian people. Achieving our goals and success will require that we do the work. It will not happen because we talk it, because we speak it. It will not happen because we wish it. It will happen because we do the work. I remind us of one of my favorite sayings that I quote from Albert Einstein, that if we keep doing the same things, we will get the same results. Doing the same things and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And we are not crazy people. Of course, there are some things that are traditional to us that we'll have to continue and stick with. And then the other things we'll have to change and adjust if we want to move our country forward. And if ultimately we want to put Liberia on the right track to prosperity and economic growth for the Liberian people. I want to thank Ben and I for his resilience, his tenacity in ensuring we got to this point. I can say without reservation that without his persistence, we may have not gotten to where we are. And although we all played a role, he as our leader was insistent, persistent, tenacious in making sure we kept this group together to achieve this end goal. So Ben and I thank you for the leadership you provided us. And I look forward to your ongoing engagement and support as we go forward. And my last comment before the chairman and I sign is again to remind us that the journey is just beginning. The work is before us. We will have some ups and downs. This will not be a smooth road to heaven. We will have bumps along the way. I want to Liberian people to understand that will happen. But in the end, we will prevail. In the end, we will be successful. In the end, we'll stick together because this is in the interest of our people. So with that said, I will ask our chairman to sign on behalf of the ANC, and then I will attest. Thank you. So, Mr. MC, the Congress has signed and attested to this agreement. And I want to show my colleagues, fellow partisans from CPP parties, and most importantly, Liberian people, of our commitment to the letter and spirit of this agreement. Thank you all very much. God bless you and God bless Liberia.
Great. Thank you to the political leader and the chairman of the Alternative National Congress. Like I said to the chairman of the CPP, Honorable Benenai Ure, our partisans appreciate you all and the leadership role that you have played and continue to play. So next is the political leader of the Liberty Party, Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence, for special statement, and signing of the CPT framework document. Honorable Senator, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Ambassador Joseph N. Boycott, political leader, Mr. Chairman, Executive Committee members and partisans of the Unity Party, Mr. Alexander Cummings, political leader, Mr. Chairman, Executive Committee members and partisans of the Alternative National Congress, Mr. Benina Uri, political leader, Mr. Chairman, Executive Committee members and partisans of the All Liberian Party, Mr. Chairman, Executive Committee members, Advisory Committee, Liberty Party Global, and members of the Liberty Party, all Liberian women who are proudly represented today as the only female senator and the only female political leader of the CPP, my fellow Liberians. May I ask you to join me in a brief moment of silence in honor of my political father and mentor, and the founder and political leader of the Liberty Party, Councillor Charles Walker Brumskin, one of the architects behind the reason why we are here today, as well as to the cherished memory of my political partner, friend and husband, who allowed and supported me to play these very tedious and challenging roles as a female and a mother in these male-dominated territories, and to the memories of the many Liberians who voluntarily and involuntarily paid the ultimate sacrifice that our country will know and shared in the values of multi-party democracy. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Today, we make history. 4 of the leading political parties in our country are taking a leap of faith, trusting each other, counting on the best wishes of the Liberian people to stand together in gallant support and consolidation of our young democracy, which is being threatened by the lack of democratic leadership currently on display in our country. We pledge our support and trust in each other, laying aside our personal ambitions for the collective good of our country, especially with the administration which is violating rights and leading by exclusion and division of our people. We understand the heavy burden placed upon our heads to look beyond self and for the people who have a right to feel abandoned and leaderless as they suffer health crises and economic difficulties. We know we cannot fight for the people against the creeping abuses and tyranny of this administration while we fight separately and at times against each other. The wishes of the Liberian people is that we come together, and so today we dutifully commit to the wishes of our people. Democracy is never really strengthened by the number of political parties to register in an election. It is strengthened by the quality of the opposition to hold the government accountable and honest. Today, by this solemn duty, done in respect of the prevailing conditions of our health crisis, we announce to all Liberians, our international partners, all those who wish us better and well, to all of you, we say, we are ready. Our outstretched arms, we will continue to extend to other political parties to join us. Our honest support, we will continue to lend to our people and the government. But make no mistake, our resolve to offer the deserving people of Liberia a better governance alternative built on the unity of our people, selflessness, competence, and respect for the rule of law and the rights of all of our citizens will not be compromised. Let it now be clear that our personal ambitions pale in comparison to the aspirations of our people who have been treated with lack of care by an administration they elected to care. We care that our people are suffering with economic hardships, with the president of the country, while the president of the country plays Ludo in his backyard. We care that a strange virus is killing and hurting our people, depriving so many of livelihood, while the president hides away, has a plan to respond, and has failed to lead. We care that Liberia has become the laughingstock of the region and the world by a growing display of gross incompetence. And even when the international community wants to help, they cannot find a competent partner in our government with whom they can work to help our suffering people. We care that our country is grossly mismanaged and corruption at the highest levels of the government rules the day. We care that women and children are being raped, abused, and violently disregarded with impunity, and young girls and young boys are falling more and more into being sexually molested and preyed upon. We care that the so-called change for hope is now creating hopelessness amongst our people. It should have been rightly called hustle against the Liberian people, because that is truly what it is. Enough is enough. Today, we close the curtain on the honeymoon of unchallenged incompetence, corruption, abuses of power, selective justice, carelessness. Our people deserve better, our country deserves better, and we know that together we can do better, and yes, the CPP will do better. We thank our technical team and lawyers for working tirelessly to prepare this framework. We are also grateful to all of our partisans, supporters, well-wishers, critics, media practitioners, social media activists, and talk show hosts for the support, encouragement, and pieces of advice. Today honors all of you too. All who are disappointed in the performance of this administration and yearn for a better alternative in a more unified nation. I congratulate party chairpersons, executive committees for their time and diligence to see this come to reality. And also, I salute all the political leaders for the selflessness without which this could never have happened. Let's save the celebrations for later. For now, there is so much work to be done. We need to win the Liberian Senate for the Liberian people in a few months and replace this failed administration in 2023. Let's go to work for our people, and may God bless these works of our hands for the betterment of our people. Thank you. And upon that, sitting in the presence of the chairman of the Liberty Party and local chairpersons in Grand Bassa County, where we are, the chairman of the ANC, the chairman of the Unity Party, the chairman of the ALP, the representative from the ALP, and the Women Wing Chair and Senator Jonathan Carpet, who are all present here today. My chairman will sign this document, and I will attest to it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and we are particularly honored that you have begun to show to everyone that this collaboration is holding, and as a very powerful political leader, you've been able to bring together our local chapter heads with you to witness the signing. We applaud you and we say thank you to you, and thank you to Senator Steve Zago and Senator Jonathan Kaipi for participating in the process. The Liberian people appreciate you. Next on the signing, the last but not the least, is Ambassador Joseph Newman Boakai, former Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. and standard bearer of the Unity Party, who will make a special statement and proceed like the others have done with the signing ceremony, along with him, the chairman, the acting chairman of the Unity Party, and the vice chairman for inter-party and election affairs. Ambassador Joseph Juma Boakai, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you for taking up this time. I'd like to add to the list of those in whose memory we have silenced the late Honorable Geraldine Ferry and the Honorable Ada Clarence, people who have stood for social justice and true democracy in this country. In signing ceremony for the framework documents of the collaborating parties, the CPP, on this May 19, 2020, I'd like to say my distinguished leaders of the CPP, representatives of the respective parties, ladies and gentlemen. I'm especially pleased and proud to sign on behalf of the Unity Party this framework document, setting out the roadmap for effective and genuine collaboration among our parties. This ceremony is a culmination of our long and painstaking negotiations by representatives of our individual parties. The framework document is a manifestation of our determination to forge ahead with our collaboration to put forth committed and loyal contestants for the senatorial by-elections and the single credible candidate for the 2023 presidential election. The CPP must remain cohesive and strong to replace a leadership that retreats into seclusion and remains silent when our people face existential threat from a deadly global pandemic and an economy devastated by a gross mismanagement, corruption, and utter incompetence. The Liberian people are hurting and deserve much better than the misrule they are now suffering and the responsive to their plight presently. Governance is not play, or is a play acting. Like the late movie star John Wayne, the famous movie star says, never send a boy to do a man's job. I commend all leaders of the CPP for standing firm. I want to also thank the facilitators and representatives for their sacrifices and commitment to produce this document. Let us now go forward with a gumption and even greater resolve to implement. For this moment, I want to thank our outgoing chairman, Ben Ayure, for his courageous budget to this time. Also, Honorable Kofi Woos for his legal steering hand, and our lawmakers for standing by us, our technical team to their diligence and commitment. And last but not the least, to all our Liberians here and in the diaspora for keeping our feet to the fire. To our incoming chair, I want to say congratulations. Thank you and God bless you. You know, proceed with the signing. Our chairman is here, our room here, we are maintaining social distance, but we have good Liberians who are wishing for the best of this country, with some women also of flourishing the class. This chairman, acting chair, the Unity Party, please do this. That's not my name. Yeah, you sound terrible. Well, the document is duly signed, and I want to thank you all and thank all of you for being with us. Mr. Moderator, the document is signed.
Well, we want to say thank you to the standard bearer and chairman of the Unity Party. Our partisans appreciate you. We appreciate your work. At this point in time, we'll move on to the transition of the CPP's chairmanship by Honorable Benani Wilfred Ure of the ALP to Honorable Alexander Benedict Cummings of the ANC. Before that, now that the signing is complete, we will ask Honorable Ure to officially declare the CPP framework document signed by the 4 constituent political parties, the Alternative National Congress, the All Liberian Party, the Liberty Party, and the Unity Party. And from there on, he will transition the chairmanship to Honorable Alexander Cummings. Honorable Ure, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Moali. On behalf of the 4 political leaders, Alexander B. Cummings, Ambassador Joseph Liman Boyka, and Senator Yumli Tanga Lawrence, I want to, at this time, inform Liberians living in Liberia and Liberians in the diaspora that we, the 4 collaborating parties, under their mandate, have gotten together and we have concluded the first major step. And that first major step is the signing this framework document. And I want to show it up to the Liberian people and let them know that what they mandated us to do, we have succeeded in doing it. May God bless this document and use it to unite our people and move our country forward. I know time is far spent. I will move right on to symbolically turn over the chairmanship to my colleague, Alexander B. Cummings. My people, you know, all during this process, people kept saying, oh, rotational, it's rotational. Your time over, your time over. But like I told Mr. Cummings last night, at times you make hard decisions. But these decisions must be in the interest of the Liberian people. I didn't have to justify to everybody that I had a mandate, and my mandate was to ensure that this document is completed. and that we move ahead. I'm pleased today to now, in my former capacity as chairman of the collaborating political parties, to turn over the symbolic mantle of authority to my colleague, Alexander Cumming.
Wow.
And why turning it over? I want to assure him of our cooperation. And I'm turning over to you, Mr. Cummings, the people of Liberia. Hold them well, and they will hold you well. God bless the CPP, and God save us.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Yuri. We'll now hear from Honorable Alexander Cummings, his acceptance remarks.
Thank you. And Bernard, thank you again. As I mentioned earlier, your resilience, tenacity has gotten us to this point, and we need to acknowledge that. I want the Liberian people to know that we have defined a process by which we will rotate the leadership of the CPP. That process is alphabetical. Let me also say, given the fact that we're starting this framework agreement formally, Ben and I could have decided that, ALP alphabetically goes first, and you could legitimately continue that leadership role. But he was very gracious in saying, I brought the CPP to this point, it's now appropriate to hand it over, and the ANC next in line alphabetically will take over, followed by the Liberty Party, and then eventually by the Unity Party, and the cycle will start again. So Ben and I, thanks for that. Ben, I want to remind you that I'm older than you, even though you're bigger. I'm your big brother.
What are you bigger than me?
As we go forward, don't forget I'm a few months older than you, even though you're physically bigger and you think I'm your small brother.
Yeah.
Let me thank my small sister Yumli for your engagement and support. We were all up till late last night talking to Ambassador Boykai, Chairman Yuri, and Yumli to get to this point. So let me thank you all for your engagement. And I know I can count on your support. And to my big brother, and if I may, Joe, I'll call you Joe on this call, because I've actually known Joe longer than I've known almost anybody politically in Liberia. And I want to thank him for his advice, for his support, both in the past and going forward. And I know I can count on all of you and every member of your teams to help us be successful. I want to assure you that we will be collaborative. We'll try to build consensus, but we'll also need to make decisions along the way. But we'll do that in a spirit of collaboration and consensus, and we'll do the work to make sure that happens. We will not always agree. There's a saying that I like: if two people always agree, only one is doing the thinking. But I'm sure we will always find consensus. We'll always compromise so that we can move this process forward. And my last comment is to remind all of us, and I think we've all commented on this, is that we need to make sure we hold this government accountable to Liberian people. We know this government is incompetent, is inept, and our people are suffering as a consequence. If you ask Liberians today, are you better off today than you were a week ago or a month ago? Unanimously, Liberians will say they're worse off. And it's up to us to constitutionally and legitimately hold this government accountable and challenge them, and then to ultimately replace them in the senatorial elections coming up and ultimately the presidential election. So I thank you. I accept this responsibility with a lot of humility, and I can assure you the work will start right away, because this is just the beginning. The work now actually begins. So thank you all. God bless you, and God bless Liberia. I think Mo is muted.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We have Rugi Barry of the Liberty Party, Vice Chair, and also of TPP Women Movement, who will give our vote of thanks, and then we'll bring this program to a close. Rugi, the floor is all yours. T, you need to unmute Rugi. Thank you, Rugi. You are on now.
Okay, Honorable Joseph Yuma Boyka, former Vice President and political leader of the Unity Party. Honorable Alexander B. Cummings, Chairman of the CPP and political leader of the ANC. Honorable Benani Ure, former Chairman of the CPP and political leader of the ALP. Our Honorable Senator Yumli Kanga Lauren, political leader of the Liberty Party. National chairpersons of constituents parties to the SP and members, supporters, and sympathizers of the CPP, Liberians, ladies and gentlemen. It that has made me more proud as a Liberian over the past of this, a moment that in our country. A moment.
Rugi seems to be going underwater. Rugi, are you there?
Okay, so I can continue, right?
Yeah, continue. Thank you.
Each of us must be honest to ourselves, appreciate our strengths and weaknesses, and cultivate the spirit of mutual respect and unity. A special thanks to the drafting and the review and validation committee of the framework document headed by Mr. Giddings and Anthony Gould and others for initiating the process that brought us to this point. Whatever we have here today is a product of our innovation. I also appreciate the former standard bearers who in early 2019 signed an MOU that authorized our individual parties to join this process. We hope that the 2020 special senatorial elections offers us a better opportunity to test the strength of our unity and commitment to this instrument. Thank you.
Thank you, Rugi Barry of the ALP. Can we just get ourselves, please unmute everyone so we can just give ourselves a big round of applause and we bring this program to a close. There, unmute everyone, please. Thank you to everyone, and this is how we bring this historic signing of the framework document of the collaborating political parties to an end. I am your MC and moderator, Mo Ali. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our performance, as you suggest, we did not perform well. We didn't win any seats. And you know, the buck stops here with me. I got to take ownership. As described, similar to what you described as Unity Party, we have a broad base, and our strategy was to have a broad base. I focused a lot on Maryland, which we did. We came in second.
He finds himself in what avevasni to just back off and call his supporters and say, look, let me thank all of you, but let me leave now because I can't continue to be...
I suppose I wouldn't, because I think within the country, everything that we get involved to set a precedent. It teaches a lesson. It shows the strength of our democracy, the rule of law. So it's an exercise that we will follow and see how it ends, because Brownie Samuka probably might be the first, but he won't be the last, and we know that subsequent issues of that nature might come about. But I continue to make sure that the process goes on with his involvement. He hasn't come to the point where he says, I'm no longer in it, so I wouldn't advise him to do that.
But do you see what he's going through? Why he's going through? Is it justified?
Well, I can tell you the best steel goes through the hardest fire. Maybe it wasn't Brownie Samuka, it wouldn't have been what it is, but I think for himself, he hasn't come to the point where he would tell me, this is too much, I'm no longer in it, until he says that we are with him.
Now the question I ask, whether you think it's justified, or the legal uncertainty that he has hanging on him now?
Well, we live in a country, it should be a country of law, and if the legal people think that this is a process and we expect that it's fair, we'll follow up with it, because I cannot sit here and say it's not a justifiable process, but I think at the end of it, we will prove ourselves to our country and to the world whether we are serious about the rule of law when we say it.
Now, the opposition bloc, Mr. Former Vice President, it's really riddled with infighting and internal wrangling. If you went into your CPP, they see more internal wrangling. You went to the LP, that's the Liberation Party, People Liberation Party, the same noise. Liberty, the same noise. What do you think is happening? What's the source of all the noise?
Our democracy, we an old country, but I think you know very well that the proliferation of political parties, the political interests of the people have been aroused over a couple of years, and everybody wants to get a taste of it. And so people are involved. And also, the society is of such that everybody get involved into everything. So either by the players themselves or by their supporters, you will continue to hear noise. You will hear noise from people from different angles, from the advisors. But this is the process of democracy, and we are in it.
The noise that is obtaining, the people hearing about in the CPP, it's getting to be a longer-standing political standoff between you and communists. What's the situation?
I don't think it is. There's no standing between me and comments. There are issues that we need to discuss. There are issues that need to be brought to the forefront that we all should talk about. And I believe when we came together as a collaboration, we didn't come together to fight. We came together believing that all of us could work together for the betterment of this country. And at some point, I would believe that issues that among us should be discussed among us and come up, because we are not rivals. At least that's not the impression with which we came. So the way in which issues have been going out there is not the way that we had expected, because we should be a team, and a team should discuss, a team should meet and discuss issues that will make them look like they're working together.
But the impression that the public is getting is that you people are not meeting, you people are not talking. I can remember there's a meeting held or convened last week, and Combs walked out of the meeting because you didn't have agenda.
It is not true. It is not true that there wasn't an agenda. There is no meeting without an agenda. He had disagreed to an issue that shouldn't have been that way. If you want to know, we got together for whatever meeting is called. There is an agenda. You're going to go discuss something. And the first agenda was to introduce people that we had appointed, including himself Cummings, to investigate the issues of the framework document. And as soon as we called the people in, he had a disagreement that we didn't have the authority to call the people, that it was another entity within the CPP that was supposed to do, and we disagree on that because we felt that we, the political leaders, were the one who nominated the people, including himself, and that we were the ones who were supposed to invite them. And upon that, he walked out. So the matter that we are 4 political parties that came together and agreed to work together, I think it should be so simple that when we have an issue, we sit together and resolve the issues. Walking out doesn't show too much of willingness to work as a team.
Now, what happened in the CPP? Your critics could describe it as just simply greed, that's all.
I don't say greed is a process by which the participants are saying we have to come up with a process through which we can get a candidate that will lead the process. You already heard there are 4 political parties, 2 of which have said we feel no candidate. That's not greed. That is agreeing to a process. So if 2 that remain are aware that the other 2 are not willing to field a candidate, then there's a process that is going on. And so I don't think that is greed. That is a process that is acceptable, that 2 of the 4 say they are not fielding candidate. So the 2 that remain that want to field candidate should be willing to do so.
So it means that the coalition may not understand.
I shouldn't say so because the intent was for it to stand. And we are in a process. We haven't got to that yet.
Because, and are you worried, Mr. Former Vice President, that what is happening is telling negatively on the parts of the opposition bloc, which consider itself a government in waiting?
Yes, when you come together for a purpose and you come to the point where everything that you work towards, things that can be handled within the agreement are out in the media in a negative way, there's a reason for those who believe in you to say, well, I don't think these people are willing to work together. Our duty is to continue to ensure that we come back to the table and make the process work.
So how do you ensure that you come back to the table? Because the impression now that you are giving the electorate is that this is PP, apparently it's not a serious coalition that we should put our votes behind, because here they are, they can even agree over who becomes their leader.
We haven't come to that yet. The process that we're on is quite well laid out in the framework document. And the process is on course, not until we come to the point where we decide we cannot agree to it. All of what is happening are processes along the way. So we ask the public to please be patient, make sure that we get back to the table to decide a way forward.
Now, what it will cost you, Mr. Former Vice President, Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boycott, if we decided in the morning that, look, let me go second to commies?
I don't think I can get to that point.
Why?
I can tell you definitely that I've served my role as a second, and it is not, again, my calling to be second.
It's not your calling to be second. So this time around, you want to be first.
That's right.
So if it means that if commies does not agree, what happens?
We didn't say that if one person, if there are two people, and one of them decide not to go second, we said within our set structure, there's here an option to get a second person, not necessarily the next person. So Cummins or we have an option whether you want to be second or not. I don't think I can get to that point.
Why?
And make the process work.
So how do you ensure that you come back to the table? Because the impression now that you are giving the electorates is that this is PP. Apparently, it's not a serious coalition that we should put our votes behind, because yeah, they can even agree over who becomes their leader.
We haven't come to that yet. The process that we're on is quite well laid out in the framework document, and the process is on course, not until we come to the point where we decide we cannot agree to it. All of what is happening are processes along the way. So we ask the public to please be patient, make sure that we get back to the table to decide a way forward.
Now, what it will cost you, Mr. Former Vice President, Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boycott, if we decided in the morning that, look, let me go second to commies?
I don't think I can get to that point.
Why?
I can tell you definitely that I've served my role as a second, and it is not, again, my calling to be second.
It's not your calling to be second. So this time around, you want to be first.
That's right.
So if it means that if commies does not agree, what happens?
We didn't say that if one person, if there are two people, and one of them decide not to go second, we said within our set structure, there's here an option to get a second person, not necessarily the next person. So Cummins or we have an option whether you want to be second or not.
We are getting reports that if the coalition or the disagreement still persists between you and commies, you're going to choose the political leader of the Liberal Party, Yomli Kanga, as your running mate.
We haven't got to that yet. We haven't discussed any of these issues.
But I'm sure you're thinking about that.
They all remain possibilities. Everybody in the coalition is a member of the coalition and competent to play whichever role they want to play.
But I'm sure you're thinking about that.
Well, if we come to that, well, it's not a bad option, but we're not there yet.
What do you think, Mr. Former Vice President, that you do have the political credentials more than that of commies? What do you think so?
It's not obvious to you that I've been vice president for 12 years? It's not obvious to you that I've served in many capacities in this country? It's not obvious to you that with my knowledge and experience, that it's about time that I excel to another level, and the only level that is left is to be the president of this country? I mean, I believe so. I believe so. If Cummings doesn't believe, it's his right not to believe. But it's my right to believe that I need to move to the next level.
So in another word, you are saying that you do have the answers to the problems of this country than that of Cummings.
Definitely. I mean, in many of the ways, not single-handedly, but I'm capable. I know how to build a team because I've been through it. I know how to do a lot of things, and I know what the Liberians need in this country with my experience in many of the areas I have served. So I do believe that at this point in time, I can lead this country.
In other words, you can do anything. If even Cummings doesn't agree to go along with you, you can choose anyone.
If I become the head of the ticket, it is an option to make sure that someone within the coalition will become number two, not necessarily Cummings.
Possibly Nyamli.
He is also a possibility. She is.
She's a possibility.
Yes.
Now, what is it that you want to do, Mr. Former Vice President, differently that you didn't do some 12 years back while you were Vice President?
I like the way the question is always asked. Now, you say as Vice President, and what would I do as President?
Yes, different.
You think both of them are the same?
They should be.
You're asking what will you do as a tailor that you couldn't do as a carpenter? Are they the same?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, because you know the Constitution of Liberia. The Constitution says the Vice President presides over the Senate without a vote, except there's a tie. I presided over the Senate. There was never a tie. It is an option to make sure that someone within the coalition will become number two, not necessarily Cummings. Held to another level, and the only level that is left is to be the president of this country. I mean, I believe so. I believe so. If Cummings doesn't believe, it is his right not to believe. But it's my right to believe that I need to move to the next.
Does not agree. What happens?
We didn't say that if one person, if there are two people, and one of them decide not to go second, we said within our set structure, there's here an option to get a second person, not necessarily the next person. So Cummings or I, we have an option to get back to the table to decide a way forward.
Now, what it will cost you, Mr. Former Vice President, Ambassador Joseph Boycott, if we
laid out in the framework document, and the process is on course, not until we come to the point where we decide we cannot agree to it. All of what is happening are processes along the way. So we ask the public to please be patient, make sure that we get back to the table to decide a way forward.
Now, what it will cost you, Mr. Former Vice President, Ambassador Joseph Boycott, if we decided in the morning that, look, let me go second to Cummings?
I don't think I can get to that point.
Why?
I can tell you definitely that I've served my role as a second, and it is not, again, my calling to be second.
It's not your calling to be second. So this time around, you want to be first.
That's right.
So if it means that if commies, doesn't agree, what happens?
We didn't say that if one person, if there are two people, and one of them decide not to go second, we said within our set structure, there's here an option to get a second person, not necessarily that the next person. So Cummins or I, we have an option whether you want to be second or not.
We are getting reports that if the coalition or the disagreement still persists between you and commies, you're going to choose the political leader of the Liberal Party, Yomli Kanga, as your running mate.
We haven't got to that yet. We haven't discussed any of these issues.
But I'm sure you're thinking about that.
They all remain possibilities. Everybody in the coalition is a member of the coalition and competent to play whichever role they want to play.
But I'm sure you're thinking about that.
Well, if we come to that, well, it's not a bad option, but we're not there yet.
What do you think, Mr. former Vice President, that you do have the political credentials more than that of commies? What do you think, sir?
Isn't that obvious to you that I've been Vice President for 12 years? Isn't that obvious to you that I have served in many capacities in this country? Isn't that obvious to you that with my knowledge and experience, that it's about time that I excel to another level, and the only level that is left is to be the president of this country? I mean, I believe so. I believe so. If Cummins doesn't believe, it's his right not to believe. But it's my right to believe that I need to move to the next level.
So in another word, you are saying that you do have the answers to the problems of this country than that of commies?
Definitely. I mean, in many of the ways, not single-handedly, but I'm capable. I know how to build a team because I've been through it. I know how to do a lot of things, and I know what the Liberians need in this country, laid out in the framework document. And the process is on course, not until we come to the point where we decide we cannot agree to it. All of what is happening are processes along the way. So we ask the public to please be patient, make sure that we get back to the table to decide a way forward.
Now, what it will cost you, Mr. Former Vice President, Ambassador Joseph Boycott, if we decided in the morning that, look, let me go second to commies?
I don't think I can get to that point.
Why?
I can tell you definitely that I've served my role as a second, and it is not, again, my calling to be second.
It's not your calling to be second. So this time around, you want to be first.
That's right.
So if it means that if commies doesn't agree, what happens?
We didn't say that if one person, if there are two people, and one of them decide not to go second, we said within our set structure, there's here an option to get a second person, not